You ever wonder how the health of the land right around you directly affects the water in your local stream? Well, today, we're going to take a virtual tour of Plow Creek at Hungry World Farm to see exactly that connection up close. We'll check out the super simple, hands-on activities they use to really get a grade on their watershed's health. So, let's dive in. This quote, it just sets the scene perfectly, doesn't it? Every single drop of rain connects the farm fields to the creek. So what you're looking at isn't just a pretty stream. Nope, it's a living system, and it's telling the story of all the land around it. It's a reminder that what we do on the soil, we are literally doing to the water. And that right there, that's the core idea of our whole tour. The team at Hungry World Farm lives by this simple principle. If you want clean water, you have to start with healthy soil and regenerative farming. It's just a powerful and really an undeniable link. Okay, so to kick off our tour, we've got to understand the big picture concept that ties everything together, and that is the watershed. So what is a watershed? It's not some far-off nature preserve you have to go visit. It's the land all around us. In fact, wherever you are sitting or standing right now, you are in a watershed. Think of it as the neighborhood that a stream, creek, or river calls home. Now, this slide really puts it into perspective. It shows how a watershed acts under two totally different management styles. On the left, with conventional farming, those bare soils basically act like a paved parking lot, just sending rainwater and all the pollutants rushing straight into the creek. But on the right, regenerative practices create soil that's more like a giant sponge, soaking up that rain and filtering it naturally. It's a huge difference. And here we go, our first hands-on activity from the Plow Creek tour. It's a super simple but really effective white tray test. This gives you an immediate baseline. Is the water clear or is it cloudy? Does it smell fresh like a creek should, or does it smell kind of funky? This is clue number one in our investigation. Okay, so we've looked at the big watershed picture. Now our tour takes us to the creek's last line of defense, the land right there along its banks. This area, the riparian zone, is absolutely critical. I mean, think of it as a natural bodyguard for the stream. It filters out sediment and pollutants before they can even get to the water. Plus, all those deep-rooted plants act like rebar, holding the stream banks together and keeping them from falling apart. And while this image just says it all, on one side you have this lush, stable bank. It's strong, held together by plants. On the other, you see a collapsing, eroded mess, which is just dumping tons of soil into the water and completely destroying the habitat. The contrast is just devastating, and it shows you why protecting this zone is totally non-negotiable for a healthy stream. All right, the next activity on the tour is fun. It actually gets you to look up. By guessing the percentage of tree cover above you, you're basically measuring the stream's natural sunblock. All that shade is vital for keeping water temperatures cool, which is essential for fish and all the other critters in there to survive. It's literally a thermostat powered by trees. Let's move on. We've seen how erosion can get started, but now let's talk about what happens when all that loose soil actually gets into the water. So here's the deal. Cloudy water isn't just an ugly problem. That sediment, all that fine silt floating around, is a major pollutant. It settles on the bottom and blankets all the rocky areas, basically paving over the little nooks and crannies where fish lay their eggs and where all the tiny insects, the base of the food web, live. The best defense, of course, is to stop that erosion at the source. And that's exactly why regenerative farms are so focused on keeping living roots in the ground all year long. I mean, look at this picture. Even in the dead of winter, those roots are doing their job, holding the soil in place and keeping it from washing away. This brings us to the next test on the tour. So how do you actually measure this sediment pollution? Well, you measure something called turbidity. By lowering a white tray into the water, people on the tour can see for themselves just how clear or not clear the water is. Then they literally reach in and feel the rocks on the bottom. Are they clean and gritty, or are they coated in a nasty layer of slippery silt? All right, sediments is one huge problem. But there's another, often invisible threat we need to look for, and that's nutrient pollution. So when tons of synthetic fertilizers wash off fields, they act like super fertilizer for the stream, and that triggers these massive algal blooms. But then, when all that algae dies and rots, it just sucks the oxygen right out of the water. Regenerative agriculture, on the other hand, tries to avoid this by using natural nutrient cycling, where nutrients are applied slowly by animals and held right there in that healthy, spongy soil. So, on the tour, you get to be a detective. Your mission? Search the slower moving pools of water for something called filamentous algae. If you find these long, stringy, kind of gross green mats, well, that's a huge visual red flag that there's an overload of nutrients coming in from somewhere upstream. Okay, we've done visual checks, we've done clarity tests, we've looked for clues, but now we get to the final and honestly the most exciting test of the creek's health. We're talking about benthic macroinvertebrates. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know. It's basically a fancy name for the little critters living under the rocks, the water bugs. And these guys are the ultimate report card for a stream. Why? Because the variety of life you find tells you exactly how clean that water has been over a long period of time. And this isn't about just looking from the bank. The final part of the tour is all about getting your hands wet, getting your feet in the water, and seeing what's actually living in there. It's citizen science at its absolute best. And the instructions are really simple. You just carefully pick up a rock and see what scurries away. You look for mayflies clinging on, stoneflies crawling around, caddisflies in their incredible little homes made of pebbles. You're not just looking at bugs. You are finding direct, living proof that the water is clean enough to support a complex and thriving food web. And just look at this moment of discovery. This is what it's all about. It connects all the dots, from the soil science and the farming practices, all the way to the final result, a stream that is literally teeming with life. It just proves that what happens on the farm really, really matters. And that really is the ultimate takeaway from this whole tour. The choices we make about how we farm and the farms we choose to support have a direct, powerful impact. It's not just about protecting the soil. It's about actively being part of the solution for cleaning our water. So as we finish up here, I'll just leave you with this thought. Every single creek, stream, and river out there has a story to tell about the land around it. Now that you've seen what to look for, what story do you think your local watershed is telling?